In the Man Cave tonight, one of our favourites, the Sky News contributor, Catherine Deves. Another one of our favourites is in Canberra right now, the Shadow Finance Minister, the Liberal Senator Jane Hume. Ladies, hello. So, the greatest government of all time was apparently elected in May of this year, but guess what has happened to Australians' trust in government? It's gone down. Shh, don't tell anyone. So, during the pandemic, 54% of people said that they trusted government in its first year. In the second, it was down to 44% because we were into the world of vaccines, blah, blah. And now it's 41%. And I wonder why. Because the major issues facing Australians, number one, economic issues. Geez, I wonder if cost of living and the government who's done nothing about it might be adding to all of that, Catherine.
Oh, I would absolutely say so, Paul. But, I mean, with respect to trusting the government, I mean, I don't have any trust in them because they took an oath when they came into Parliament to swear allegiance to the Crown, and within moments they'd appointed an Assistant Minister to the Republic. I would call that sedition. So how can you trust a government that won't even uphold the system that has given us the peace and prosperity that we enjoy today as a nation? I mean, they didn't campaign on a referendum and they're already talking about it. And when they want to upend our system, I think that no one can trust a government like that.
Well, my point is, where was the promise of 30,000 people who were on TPVs immediately being transferred? The inference was that it was from the days after the election rather than the Rudd years. Let's have a look at some of the stuff that you had to deal with in the Senate today, Jane, as the IR stuff is being discussed. Roll the tape. How's this for a fun one?
Senator Watt keeps misleading the chamber with his reference to what the Australian people voted for.
Senator
the bill he's talking about, the people
Senator
didn't...
Birmingham, please resume your seat. Order. Order.
He wants to throw some meat to the backbench on an ideological issue. You ought to sit him down, President. My submission is you ought to sit him down earlier.
Senator, they hate the idea that they've been caught out. They've been caught out with a pretty radical change.
I actually said it out loud that multi-employer bargaining was an election promise. Quite the opposite. They were silent on that during the election campaign. Now, of course, they spoke about a $275 cut to energy bills. That's disappeared. They said they had the solution to the cost of living crisis. That's disappeared. And they also said that real wages are going to increase under their government. That's disappeared. Not for the entire term of Parliament, according to their own budget papers. They said that when people voted Labor, under a Labor government, you would feel the change of government in your wallet, in your bank account. Well, people certainly are feeling a change of government in their bank account, but not for the reason they thought they were going to when they went to the ballot box. But now they're actually out there saying, oh, we promised this multi-employer bargaining during the election campaign. What are you complaining about? Not only did we catch them out on this slide, but you should have heard some of the rubbish that is in this legislation. It is full of... It looks like the regulatory impact statement, I think, was done by the work experience kid. It actually has so many mistakes in it, and so many, I mean, you just fibs, quite frankly. The best one, I thought, personally, was, and I've got to read this one to you because it's so good, they actually have a section under this saying, how much should I charge as a consultant in Australia? So in a regulatory impact statement, it's supposed to help stakeholders understand how a legislative change, a regulatory change is going to affect them. And they said, how much should we charge as a consultant in Australia? Well, the source of their answer came from an article described on a website called authentic.com, which describes itself as a cross between a business strategist, a modern-day spiritual leader, or spiritual healer, and self-development expert. Benjamin J. Harvey is as comfortable working with shamans to strategists, psychics to sales reps, healers to homemakers, Buddhists to businessmen, and mediators and meditators. I mean, for heaven's sake, this is in their legislation, in the regulatory impact statement. Not only were the numbers all wrong, they said that it was only going to cost $14,500 or so in consultancy fees for a small business. Now, that's a pretty significant amount of money, but it's actually around $75,000 for a medium business. It's actually outrageous, the mistakes in this document. And yet, somehow we're supposed to just wave it all on through some of the most radical changes to industrial relation forms this country's ever seen.
Well, and as I say, watch Pocock back it. Why? Territory rights bill, don't have a problem with that, but extra senators for the Northern Territory. Wait, watch this space. But good on you and good on the buzzsaw of Michaelia Cash in Senate for being able to find that in estimates as well. I liked seeing all of that. Now, a lefty's decided to write a bit of a sorry piece here in the Channel 9 newspapers in Melbourne that apparently the media's been too tough on Daniel Andrews. Of course, it's this station, the company I work for, and specifically the documentary that my dear friend Peter put to air that made huge news and should absolutely encourage people to think twice about how they vote. Final paragraph. The overall effect of the coverage is to create the impression that Andrews has been treated unfairly by the media during this campaign. Many of his supporters on social media certainly think so, but that's the impression exaggerated by the excesses of the Herald Sun and Sky News. Has the media been too harsh on Daniel Andrews, Catherine?
They need to go harder. He's been in power for 8 years. He is leaving them with ballooning debt. You've got, in terms of migration to Victoria, you've got more people fleeing the state than coming in. You've had people locked down with draconian COVID measures. He's been fluffing around, spending $25 million on the Church of Pride, the woke cathedral overlooking St Kilda. He's spent money on diversity, inclusion and equality managers in the ambulance service where people are dying for want of an ambulance. They need to go harder on this man. They need to expose him for what he is, and Victorians need to vote him out. Mulgrave, vote Ian Cook.
Bloody oath, bloody oath. Jane, I heard you guffaw, and why wouldn't you? The media's been too hard on Daniel Andrews. Please, please.
Poor petal Daniel Andrews. He must go home at night and take a long, hard look at himself in the mirror. I hope he does, because let's, face it. After 4, possibly 5 IBAC inquiries, a health system that is in crisis, 000 calls that go unanswered, and let's remember that he has been either the Premier or the Health Minister for 9 out of the last 15 years. And that's on top of, let's remember, the world's most draconian lockdowns, 186 days of children missing school, police set out to fire rubber bullets at peaceful protesters or move elderly ladies off park benches, a curfew that we didn't even see in wartime. This is a Premier that the power has gone to his head. He's there for the power. He's not there for the people. I don't think that a couple of tough words on Sky News or in the Herald Sun bothers him one little bit.
Absolutely. Not at all. Not at all. And by the way, of all of the places that he decided to do the only leaders debate, here, and in conjunction with the Herald Sun, just a small note in all of that. Just finally, all the lefties say they want to jump off Twitter because Trump might be getting back on it. They won't. They can't quit it though, can they? Like, if you want out, just pull the pin.
Well, Twitter is like crack, and it is the marketplace of ideas. So I'm really pleased to see all these people being reinstated, whether it's Trump or it's Meghan Murphy, who tried to sue Twitter for kicking her off for calling a male sex predator a he. So I say it should just be a free-for-all. We really should allow everyone to be able to have their say. They shouldn't be kicked off because someone got offended. I would say, we can't have violence or incitement to violence, porn, child image, sex-based abuse, that kind of thing. But we should be free to discuss dangerous ideas, ideas that maybe are unpalatable, and get involved in these discussions, because we have lost the art of civil discussion.
Bloody oath. Thank you very much, ladies. A longer next time, I promise.